My wife asked me for a divorce, and I said yes without blinking. She thought she was catching me off guard. But the truth is, I'd already seen the messages. The late nights, the lipstick smudges, the lies. What she didn't expect was for me to walk away without begging. And what came next? Well, that part shocked even her. My name is Eric. I'm 38 years old, and for almost a decade, I was married to Natalie. We started off strong. Typical story. Met at work, clicked instantly, moved in together within 6 months, and married a year later. For a while, it was beautiful. Dinners together, weekend getaways, shared dreams. But those days felt like a distant memory now. By year 8, our home felt more like a hotel lobby. Cold, quiet, transactional. We barely spoke unless it was about bills or groceries. When we did talk, it was short, robotic. The warmth, gone. The spark, dead. I started noticing little changes. Natalie staying out late, always with friends, or at a work event. She'd come home distracted, barely looking up from her phone. She guarded it like it contained government secrets, and her energy toward me? Ice cold. I gave her space. I tried initiating conversations, planning little date nights, even cooking dinner after work, but she always brushed me off. I'm tired. Maybe next week. I already ate. I wasn't stupid. I knew something was going on. I just didn't want to admit it. Until one night, I couldn't ignore it anymore. That night, Natalie came home late again. Her eyeliner was smudged, her hair disheveled, and she reeked of perfume that didn't belong to her. She stumbled in, mumbled a tired, "Hey," and crashed into bed without even showering. I stood there for a moment, heart pounding, but weirdly calm. Then I picked up her phone. She always used the same passcode. I'd never opened it before. But tonight, I needed to know. It took seconds to find everything. The messages, the photos, the inside jokes, the hotel check-ins. She was cheating on me with a guy from work. I knew his name. I even met him once. He shook my hand like nothing. But instead of rage, I felt nothing. No tears, no shouting, no drama. That night, I sat beside her while she slept and finally admitted to myself what I'd been denying for years. I didn't love her anymore, and she didn't love me either. We weren't partners. We were just two strangers living under the same roof out of habit. The marriage had died long ago. The affair was just the final nail in the coffin. The next evening, Natalie came home and looked nervous. She asked me to sit down, said she had something to say. "I want a divorce," she blurted out. I smiled softly and said, "I think that's a good idea." Her face froze. "You... what?" "I agree. This isn't working. You want out, and so do I." She blinked like she didn't know what to say, like she expected me to beg, to cry, to throw a fit. But I didn't. I stood up, walked upstairs, changed into something casual, and came back down. "I'm going to the bar," I said, grabbing my keys. "Might meet someone new tonight." Then I left. I didn't look back, but if I had, I'm pretty sure her jaw was still on the floor. The bar I went to that night wasn't just any bar. It was her bar. The one she always visited with her coworkers. I knew the chances of bumping into someone she knew were high, and that was exactly what I wanted. I ordered a drink, sat back, and made a quick call. Tatiana, a coworker of mine, always had a reputation for knowing all the gossip, and for being a little too curious for her own good. "Hey, are you busy? Could use a drink and a friendly ear." Natalie asked for a divorce. She showed up 30 minutes later, surprised to see me calm. "You don't look heartbroken," she said with a smirk. "That's because I'm not. Turns out being free feels better than I expected." We laughed. We danced. She leaned in close, her hand on my chest. "You sure this isn't some revenge mission?" she teased. "Maybe a little," I said, grinning. But mostly, I'm just done being unhappy. Before she left, she whispered, "If you ever want to return the favor and make her regret it, call me." The next day, everyone at the office knew, including a mutual friend of Natalie's. That evening, I walked in to find Natalie sitting in the living room, clearly trying to act casual. "How was your night?" she asked stiffly. I shrugged. "Drinks, music, good company." She stared. "With who?" "Just someone from work." Her nostrils flared and that fake calm shattered. "Let me guess, Tatiana?" I raised an eyebrow. "Why do you care? We're still married," she snapped. "What kind of woman goes after a married man?" I laughed softly. "That's rich, coming from you." The color drained from her face. For the first time in years, she was on the defensive. "You don't get to pretend you're the victim here," she said. "No," I replied, stepping closer, voice low and cold. "But you don't get to act like the betrayed wife either." Then I walked upstairs, packed a few clothes, and slept in the guest room. I didn't even close the door. I slammed it. Over the next few days, something shifted in Natalie. Gone was the cold, distracted woman who barely looked up from her phone. Instead, she started trying. Dinner was hot when I got home. She asked about my day. She even started dressing up, makeup done, wearing that perfume I used to love. I didn't react. I'd spent years trying to earn her attention. I wasn't about to beg for it now that she finally realized I could be happy without her. One Friday afternoon, she casually asked if I had plans for the weekend. "Yeah, going out with some friends from work." Her eyes narrowed. "Tatiana?" "Maybe," I said with a smirk. That Saturday night, I joined a group of co-workers for drinks. Nothing crazy, just good music, laughter, and the kind of fun I hadn't allowed myself to enjoy in years. I crashed at a friend's place nearby instead of driving home late. I didn't think twice about it, but the next morning, I woke up to 5 missed calls from Natalie. And a string of texts. "Where are you? You couldn't even tell me you weren't coming home? So this is what you do now? Just disappear?" When I finally picked up, her voice was sharp and panicked. "You spent the night with her, didn't you?" I was too tired to argue. "I stayed at a friend's. I'll be back later." She tried to keep the fight going, but I hung up. When I got home, she was on the couch, arms crossed, eyes full of fire. I walked past her, didn't say a word. She followed me into the kitchen. "You didn't even tell me you were back. Are you just going to ignore me now?" I poured a glass of wine and leaned against the counter. "Natalie," I said, finally turning to face her. "We're getting divorced. That was your idea, remember?" She bit her lip. Her voice softened. "Maybe I made a mistake." I raised an eyebrow. "You said it yourself," she continued. "We were both unhappy. But maybe we could fix this." I didn't answer right away. I couldn't tell if it was guilt, loneliness, or pride talking. But I did know one thing. It was too late. A week later, Tatiana and I decided to hit the same bar we'd gone to before. We liked the atmosphere. The drinks were cold. The music was good. And honestly, being with her felt easy. For the first time in a long time, I was laughing again. That night, she wore a red dress that made it impossible to ignore her. We danced, we flirted. We weren't looking for anything serious, but we enjoyed the game. Until everything exploded. We were halfway through a slow dance when I felt someone yank Tatiana by the arm. It was Natalie. Her eyes were wild. Her voice came out as a shriek. "You little homewrecker, get your hands off my husband." Tatiana shoved her back. "You need to calm down." But Natalie wasn't listening. She slapped Tatiana, right there in the middle of the dance floor. I jumped between them, grabbing Natalie's arm and pushing her away. "What the hell is wrong with you?" The whole bar froze. Tatiana fired back, her voice sharp. You have some nerve. Don't come at me like your marriage didn't crash and burn because of your own cheating. Natalie's best friend, Roxanne, of course, came out of nowhere. She started yelling too, screaming that I was a traitor, that I'd broken Natalie's heart, that I was disgusting for parading around with some floozy. It was a disaster. People were recording. Whispers spread through the crowd. I grabbed Tatiana's hand and pulled her out of there before it got worse. When we reached her car, she was still shaking with anger. You need to get away from that woman, she said. She's poison. If you let her, she'll destroy everything good that's left in your life. She wasn't wrong. Then she kissed me, soft at first, then deep, and invited me inside. But even in that moment I hesitated. Not because I didn't want to, but because I still hadn't signed the divorce papers. And despite everything, I wanted to end it right. I went home that night expecting chaos, but the house was silent. Natalie wasn't there. So I packed. I folded the last of my clothes into the suitcase, zipped it shut, and looked around one final time. The house was quiet. The photos on the wall, the couch we once cuddled on, the kitchen where she used to laugh while making coffee. They all felt like scenes from a movie I'd stopped watching a long time ago. At 7 a.m., the door creaked open. Natalie stepped in, heels in hand, her hair messy, makeup smudged, and eyes wide when she saw my bags by the door. She froze. You're leaving? She whispered, her voice hoarse. I nodded and took a sip from my mug. I told you, I'm done. She didn't deny it, didn't even bother making excuses. Her silence spoke volumes. Spent the night with him? I asked. I didn't need the answer, but I wanted to hear it. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. Didn't matter. I stood, picked up my suitcase, and walked toward the door. Nate, wait, she said suddenly, her voice trembling. Please don't go like this. I turned. How should I go, Natalie? After your scene at the bar? After sleeping with your coworker while we were still married? After begging me to stay while you ran back to him every time my back was turned? Her eyes filled with tears. I made a mistake. No, I said coldly. You made a choice. Then I left, and she didn't follow. The divorce moved fast. No fights, no drama. Just signatures and split assets. I used my half to get a clean, modest apartment across town. No memories, no ghosts, just space. Silence. Peace. Natalie tried calling. A few messages, some half-hearted apologies. I ignored them all. The final time we saw each other was in the lawyer's office. She looked smaller, like someone who'd been running in circles and suddenly realized she was lost. I'm sorry, she said, one last time. I nodded, but I didn't speak, because there was nothing left to say. I walked out, knowing I'd never see her again. That night, Tatiana came over with wine and a knowing smile. We didn't talk about Natalie. We didn't need to. We watched a movie, laughed a little, and for the first time in months, I felt something real. Not revenge. Not regret. Just relief. It had been 6 months since I signed those divorce papers. 6 months of calm mornings. Of making coffee without walking on eggshells. Of sleeping through the night without wondering where she was, or with whom. Tatiana and I stayed in touch. We weren't serious. We didn't label it. Just two people who understood timing, scars, and how heavy the past can feel. She respected my space, and I appreciated her honesty. Life was simple, until a random Tuesday at the grocery store changed everything. I was in line, holding a loaf of sourdough and a bottle of wine. My mind was somewhere else, probably on work or weekend plans, when I heard it. Nate? I turned around. It was Natalie. She looked different, not worse, just real. Less polished, more human, Her eyes didn't carry the usual fire, just a quiet mix of guilt and something close to regret. She gave a small wave. Didn't think I'd run into you here. I nodded, calm. Hey. We stood there for a moment, the silence between us loud. The last time we were face to face, she was crying in the lawyer's office. Now she looked like she'd accepted things. Or was trying to. I heard you moved, she said. Yeah, new place. Fresh start. That's good, she replied, then hesitated. I wanted to say thank you. For not dragging it out. For handling it like you did. I looked at her. You mean for not burning the whole thing down after what you did? She lowered her eyes. Yeah, that. I shrugged. We were already ashes, Natalie. No point in setting fire to what's already cold. She smiled sadly, then gestured to my basket. Date night? Maybe, I said with a grin. Maybe just me and a movie. I hope you're happy, she whispered. And I meant it when I replied. I am. She stepped back. Take care, Nate. You too. And just like that, she walked away. No drama. No last-minute tears. Just a quiet goodbye in aisle 7, the kind of closure most people never get. That was the last time I saw Natalie. Now, I work less, sleep more, and laugh often. Sometimes with Tatiana. Sometimes with friends. And sometimes just by myself. And that's more than enough. I don't need apologies or second chances. I just need peace. And I've finally found it. Sometimes the best revenge isn't a grand gesture. It's moving on in silence. It's choosing yourself after years of choosing someone else.